Yeah, thanks for being here today. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the nuts and bolts of creating captions, and I think those videos that we watched kind of demonstrate why captions are important. One thing I would add that I think wasn't brought up in those is that captions also just provide another point of access for everybody. So even people who don't have hearing difficulties, it can be really nice to have captions. So if a student is here in the library using our computers that don't have speakers, they don't have headphones, if you don't have captions in your video, they're not going to know what's going on, or so they won't watch it or they won't understand it. That's just one example, but captions are really useful. I watch captions on every TV show that I watch. Everything I watch, basically, I have captions going. And oftentimes, when somebody's mumbling or if the sound is too quiet, you can understand what's going on because you have captions. You don't have to turn it up or rewind it a whole bunch of times. But I think probably what everybody here is nervous about is that it's not easy to create captions, right? It can be difficult, it can be time consuming. Maybe many of you have never even tried it and you've just avoided having to use captions in multiple different ways that I know people here do that. The secret is auto captioning. So we have a lot of technology out there today that is helping us make better use of our time. Auto captioning, the quality isn't 100%, but it'll do most of the heavy lifting for you. So the auto captioning is where a program will take audio and then turn it into text. Does a lot of the heavy lifting for you, but you do have to go in and make edits yourself. However, it does really up the efficiency rather than typing it out yourself or trying to come up with other different ways to get transcripts. And so sometimes if you have a video in your class and you're going to post it into your Canvas course, we might have to pay some other group to put captions in there as well. But with auto captioning, it's something that you can do yourself. It's actually pretty easy. I did this with a video that I wanted to use. Short video, didn't have good captions, but it was on YouTube, already had the auto captioning set up. They enabled community contributions, so I just went in, made the necessary corrections. It took less than 10 minutes for me to do this for a 5-minute video. And then I shot the edits over to them, and they just have to approve them, and then they'll get added, and then I have a captioned video that I can use. So it is a really efficient and quick way to do it. The things that I'm going to talk about today are up on a library guide that I have on the Digital Media webpage. So if you just search Digital Media Lab, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Tim Miller. I'm the Digital Media and Learning Librarian here. So the Digital Media Lab is the area and the space online that I'm in control of. And so if you just Google Digital Media Lab Humboldt State, you'll find our page. And there's a page about captions. And there's a lot of different services that enable you to do auto captioning. In my experience, YouTube is by far the best. So you can use Google Docs, you can use Camtasia or other video editing software. But then I find that there's a lot more errors, a lot more problems. The one I like the best is YouTube. And so if we go to that guide, I have a bunch of rationale for why it's important to use captions. But if you scroll down, there's a couple different pieces here. There's a document that Mike Sargent over in Media Services created. So he and I were kind of doing this independently, and then we were talking one day and we realized we were both doing the same thing. So he has this text document, and then I have a video here that kind of, so both of those follow along. And with Universal Design, having both of those for different types of learners is a really great thing. Personally, I like visual things. I don't want to read a document from start to finish when I'm trying to do something on the computer. So the video is great, but the video doesn't have all the information you need. It's harder to go back and reference, so the document's also great. And it's a PDF file, and so it really is a really good summation that he made of what the process is in YouTube. So you can use this to refer back to when you're working on your project. The video I'll play real quick. Has very loud music. But so it's a pretty basic thing to do. Once you've uploaded your video to YouTube, it might take an hour or two for the auto captioning to take effect. But you just go in and you edit the subtitles. And so these are the automatic subtitles that YouTube created. And they're not perfect, like I said. A lot of the time the proper nouns aren't great. Punctuation is not there at all. But it's really easy. You just click edit, and then you can go in and you just edit them like you do any text. And so with this one, She was talking about skill shops, and it had no idea what skill shops were because that's an odd word that we came up with here. And so you have to go in and fix that every time it says skill shops. And if anybody's using names, punctuation, like I said, you're going to want to add those things in. But the YouTube editor is really great because as you're typing, it will pause the video for you. You can go back and play it. You can play it so it'll just play that part over again if it's something that's really difficult to type in. But as I said, it gets most of it correct, so you don't have to make a whole lot of edits. The other nice thing about YouTube, if you've done this in the past, it used to not save your work as you worked, which I found very frustrating. So about 2 years ago, I would not recommend using YouTube. But now it actually saves your progress as you go. So as you type, even if you don't hit save up in the corner, it will save your progress. So if you just go back in and open it up, it'll have your recovered edits right there. And so you can just go ahead and go back into it. So you don't need to worry about saving. It saves your progress. But once you do save, then you can download the captions. So you can use that in a different service. So if you just have like an audio file, so if you like recorded a lecture or something, you have audio, you can turn that into a video file, and I can talk to you about how to do that. It's pretty simple though. And then upload that to YouTube, and then create the captions in YouTube, and then you can download them as one big transcript. And so the difference between captioning and transcript, captions have a time code associated with them. So here's an example of, as it loads, the example of the captions are, all of the words have this little time code. Each of them is numbered, so we have one caption here, two caption with the time code built in, which is great for the video, but not great if you just want one big piece of text, right? So if you had like an audio lecture that you wanted just to be an essay or something like that, this wouldn't be that useful of a format. But on this page for the captions, I created this little tool that basically will just strip those time codes out of there. And so if you just paste in your SRT file, it will create just a paragraph of text for you, and then you can use that wherever. And it's really basic. I think I made this pretty well, but if you find errors, please let me know, and I can fix it. It's a pretty basic script that I wrote. And so it's a really easy process. And you just upload it to YouTube. It'll do the auto captioning, go in and make the edits, and then download it. If you want the paragraph, you can just throw it in here. Otherwise, you can take that caption and put it into Camtasia or whatever other video editing program you want, and you'll have a great video there. And I know we're going to ask questions later. I think that's all I had. I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, so my slides. I'm ignoring. oh yeah. So one important thing is when you are doing the community, you can offer extra credit for people in your class to create to edit those captions. So if somebody missed a lecture or something, you can give them extra credit or let them make up that time by editing those. It doesn't automatically take effect. You do have to go in and approve or deny those changes, so you still have control over that. And it's a really great service. It's kind of crowdsourcing the ability to make those captions as well. Thanks.